Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to play with tints and opacity. So you see I've moved the letters up here a little bit, and I am going to select this letter, and I'm going to select it with the text, so the text is actually selected. And then I'm going to go to opacity. You see the two little circles, and you can either go in and change the number. So I changed it to 20. Or you can go in and select a letter, and you can use a slide bar there. So if you click on the arrow and then do the slide bar, so there you can see that there's this transparent quality. You can see where they overlap here. So you may like the idea of having a letter grayed out, but you want to hide it behind there. So you really don't want to have opacity, but what you prefer to have is a tint. So what I'm going to do here is select that W. I am going to change the opacity to 100. And then I'm going to go into where we played with color, and I'm going to take that black and I'm going to make it 80%. So here you see that that W can be over top of a letter. You're not seeing through it, but it's a tint. Now this O here is still based on opacity, so I can arrange and bring that to the front, and there you see the opacity quality of that, transparent quality to it. Okay, so we've got these different letters that I'm playing with here, and we can really move them around, not just up and down, but we can start to spin them. And one way you can do that is if you hover over this anchor point and you spin, so you can freely rotate, and you might want to build your letters up so they look like they're holding each other up. And maybe you shove that in there. It's going to look like it's falling down, so you can play freely with these, moving them around. Or if you wanted to move something in a specific percentage, say you wanted this G to look like it's completely turned over 90 degrees, so what you can do is you can go up to Object, and you can go to Transform, and you can rotate 90 degrees. And it rotated it completely on its back. So you can use, by selecting an object, you can go and transform it by scaling it so that you can scale it by an exact measurement if you want to do that. Or you can transform it by reflecting it, which if I do vertical, so it's changed the letter around, flipped it. I'm going to flip Command Z to flip it back. And I had to do Command Z twice because I moved it. So then you can just play with shifting them around, and maybe you want to align that G, so you just inch it a tiny bit. So you can really play in different ways, moving things around. I tend to like to have that free play with them where I start rotating things. So notice when I'm rotating the shape, I'm using this black arrow. I go back and forth to grab that black arrow to rotate. When I was actually changing the opacity, I didn't select the shape and go to opacity, but that works too. So I can either select the box, or I can go and select the text. Either way works, okay? So another thing that I want to show you is I'm going to zoom out of here. So if I drag my cursor all over all of this text, and I'm holding, and I see the way it distorts. So I'm holding down the Shift key so it doesn't distort, just like when we were creating perfect circles. So I'm holding down the Shift key. I want to play with the idea of having this run off the page. So when I look at this, I don't get the full sense of how this is being cropped off. So one little trick is you can grab a box and you can make a box here, and then you can use this eyedropper tool to select the background color, and it creates this box that's the exact same color. And I can go and copy and paste and move over to this side and cover that. And so there I can get a better sense of how it would look like, what it would look like if I cropped over. So another thing I want to point out is when you are looking at all these letters, if you looked at it right now, you wouldn't know what this says. And we still sound letters out. So you want to make sure you arrange these letters so you start to really sound out the word, and you start to get the word grow in there. So if you can get that, then if you want to crop off letters, it's fine. Now, oops, I'm trying to get this one over here. So this W, if I move it over too far, it looks like grove. So you need to, or grove. So here's grow. So you need to play with the letters and make sure if you're cropping things, you're not cropping too much that you don't get all the information you need. So look at it with a critical eye and make sure you feel like you can read it, and then show whoever's around and see if you can, email it to a friend, make sure they can read what it says if you're in doubt. So we sound things out, so it's good to make sure you can really get that first letter and probably the second letter sometimes too, to make sure that you can figure it out. So this is basically what your assignment's going to look like. You're going to take a word and you can repeat those letters as many times as you want, make them larger, smaller, really do a creative layout, and you're going to do 2 of them. So on this second page here, you are going to use a different word and do an arrangement of it. So your assignment is posted in Blackboard, and it gives samples the presentation will show samples of what to do. That we'll go over it a little bit more when we meet in class. Okay? Good luck, and you can always email me if you have any questions on anything. Thanks so much. I'm back again. I realized I didn't show you how to save. So what we are going to do is we are going to save these documents. So if I go up to the main menu and I say File, it's taking a moment, sorry. File, and I say Save, this document starts out as a untitled document. Okay, so it's giving me the option to save to cloud or your computer. One of the things you're going to have to do is really manage your files and decide where you're going to be storing everything. I highly recommend that you store everything in 2 places so you can keep things on your computer, but then also back them up to the cloud. So for right now, I am going to save this to my computer. It's taking a moment. It really is taking a moment. This little spinning ball, sometimes it's a scary thing. If you have your ball that spins too much and it seems like it's going a long time without, and you seem like you're lost, I'm going to show you in a moment what to do. Okay, so here it says save as, so I am going to name this file, and I give specific instructions. You want to save it with your last name, week 1, and then this is called Word. I'm going to spell that right. Word. And then you will save it as an Illustrator document wherever you're going to organize your files. So I'm going to organize mine in my teaching folder for this class. Current semester. And I am going to save the file. So now notice it says AI is the end of the file, what it says at the end. So that has saved the file as an Adobe Illustrator file. It's a file that's pretty stable. What I'm also going to have you do now is you are going to save this file. You're going to go back up. Instead of save, you're going to say save as. It's still saving, so this will take a moment. And what you're going to do is you're going to save as with the same title, but instead of saving it as an Illustrator file, you're going to save it as a PDF. And the reason why you're going to save it as a PDF is because if you email anybody your file that's saved as an Illustrator, A, they might not have Illustrator, but also they might not have the fonts. And so if you try to open something and you don't actually have those fonts, it will substitute it for something else. And you can imagine you've done all this work laying this out, and if it changes to a different font, it doesn't have the same look that you've wanted it to have. So what we're going to do is we are going to File, Save As, and here, instead of saving it this way, we're going to go here, and we're going to go to Adobe PDF. And so my title stayed the same, but it says PDF, and I'm going to save that. And with all of these different, you can just save it with the defaults for right now. So just ignore all these different things and just save as the PDF. Okay. So for this assignment, this is a pretty simple assignment. So it's probably fine to save it as a PDF. And then the thing about Illustrator is I can go, I've got that file on my machine, so I can go and go to Open. And then I can browse. So I had put it, what I can do, it's right here, but to show you, I went and I would go to my file and to this class and to the PDF, and I can click Open. There's also this, oops, that's the wrong PDF. There's also this Options button. So let me go into current semester. There it is. And it says Option. You can hit Options because this is a 2-page document. So you may want to be opening just one of those 2 pages. So here I will say Open. In this case, I already have it open, so it asks if I want to open another window. Usually you wouldn't still have the same document open. So there it opened it for me. And so it's retained all of its characteristics. If you have a very complicated document, it's better to save it as an Adobe Illustrator. It's just more stable. Okay? And then you can send, what you'll do is you'll take this PDF and you will upload it into Blackboard. And so then I can look at it just like a PDF, or if I open an Illustrator and I have the same fonts, I can open it and look at it. Okay? So I think that's it for now. Take care. Bye-bye.